T.
Miss T. Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T.
Can't wait for you to meet Miss T. She is the T in T.
So excited for this. Okay, so I'm working with a core group of young ladies, young men that are really striving to go to the next level in lifestyle, finances, relationship, career, all of that. They fighting for it, right? So I mentor them. And when I mentor them, you know, I'm a firm believer, early bird gets the worm, pay the price, get up early if you want to work with T, because most often I don't have downtime in the day. My downtime, my quiet time, my calm time is like 5 o'clock in the morning. So if you want to get with me and you know you down to get up early, I'm ready to work with you, but you do got to get up early. So anyways, I'm working with this group. We up early in the morning. We going over some different things, and I get a curious question. Again, you know, I'm like going over their goals. What do you want to do? What do you want to be? And so, you know, this one person says, I want to hit 7 figures and and I want to be married and I want to go over this. They're just giving me their list, right? And so I said to them, oh, okay, that's great. So what are you doing today to prepare for that reality? And they said, well, what do you mean by that? I said, well, how are you building your infrastructure? Whether it's the relational infrastructure again, I'm going to give you some good solid examples, but the question was, how are you preparing to be rich? Rich in finances, rich in relationships, rich in hitting the pinnacle or 2 or 3 or 7 in your career. How are you preparing your current infrastructure to handle the weight of success in those different areas? And then there was silence. And so I remember, you know, not somebody asking me the same question, but I remember going through the process of preparation because I was convinced I wanted more, I could do more, I could have more, and I could certainly be more. But my current set of conditions didn't have room for me to be more, have more, and do more. And so anyhow, we started talking about infrastructure. So I figured, you know what? I should probably do a podcast of that, because most people say they want a thing, but they're not preparing to have the thing. So I want to help you with some steps that I've tried that work to be ready for the tsunami of growth and increase and success. I want you to be rich, baby. But in order for you to be rich, you got to plan for that. Have a plan to succeed. Most people don't even make a plan. They just wishing for it. Wishing don't get it done. But a plan will make it happen. So first things first. Number 1, pick your areas. Like, what are your areas? Yes, I want to be rich, but what does that mean? Do you want $1 million in a bank account that you have that you can access to whenever you feel like it, or you just want to let it sit there and earn some interest? Do you want a husband, or are you single? You want a wife? You want a husband? Okay. Are you preparing for that? Are you one of those people that would like to see yourself in the C-suite in your career or your own company? And you want to build out a national brand? Okay, so let's talk about the infrastructure of that. We're going to start with the money piece first. One of the first things I did when I said, okay, I want to hit 7 figures in this area of my life. I had one bank account. Where are you going to put 7 figures? In your personal account with, like, at the credit union? Like, where does it go? Where do you start building your wealth? Like, let's just get bare bones basic with it. If it is your goal to have more money, where does it go when you get it? Does it go into your stock, your investment account? Does a portion of it go into your philanthropic giving account? I have one of those, by the way. Does it go into a high yield savings account? Does it go into a CD for a year so you don't touch it? Listen to me. If you're going to get more resources, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to sit on it in your current checking account and then just spend it? You got to be real with yourself. If it's your goal to be financially wealthy, which is the lowest form of wealth, if I can add that piece part. If it's your goal to be financially wealthy, what is your plan to do with the increase when it comes to you? Because if you set the plan, if you're targeting the goal, if you're really intentional about it, increase is imminent. It's going to come. But if you don't have a plan for it, it'll break your whole system. So first things first, if your goal is financial increase, where does it go? So, for example, I have a high yield savings account. I have 3 CDs. This is just for increase that I knew was coming in this one year. I also do some level of investment. That's personal. I also have a whole account. I call it my storehouse account, where I take a percentage of any increase I have. I put it into this account, and it's just for philanthropic giving. Now, let me tell you something about wealthy people. Wealthy people give. They're philanthropic. Why? Because they have more than enough to give. So if you're not practicing being generous, if you're not practicing being philanthropic, if you're not practicing giving right now, I promise you won't do it when you have more. You'll find a way to spend it on yourself, and that's a good way to block your potential for growth. So I'm just saying, have an account that's just set aside. And I work from percentages. So some people will think, oh my gosh, I gave $10,000. Well, if you got $10 million and you gave $10,000, that's not really a lot. But if you got $10 million and you're giving 10%, 20% of 10 million or 10, whatever your increase is, now there's some equalizing in your giving. I don't compare myself by way of amount. I compare myself by way of percentage, because if I get more, then I can give more percentage wise. And so again, I put that into this account, and then I'm able to be responsive in a way to small businesses, personal situations, people that are having trauma and challenge in their lives that just need a little extra help. But my philanthropic giving now has a pool of resources to work from that's helping people in the community, helping businesses survive and sustain. But again, I have an account specifically for that, and it also keeps me accountable. So if there's residual funds left in that account, then I have to examine, am I giving at the level that I need to be giving at in order to maintain my goal of being helpful to people financially? So, okay, that's one. The other one is relationally. Now, don't get mad at me, okay? Some people want to be married. Some people want good friends, better friends. Some people don't want to be alone, but they're not preparing to have increase in positive, strong, healthy relationships. So number one, how much time do you spend alone at home? How much time do you spend on your phone? How much time do you intentionally take to show up in a place, an environment, a social group, an event, and then show yourself friendly? You're not sitting in a corner with the people that you know. You're not only talking to the people that you knew from this other thing or that sit in your section. If it's your goal to have rock solid, rich relationships that pull you up as you're pulling your peers up, you're going to have to do something different by way of the infrastructure you build to receive these relationships. Now, let me give you an example. I remember during the pandemic sitting in my room by myself, feeling really bad because, you do all this stuff, but I didn't really have I wanted the kind of friends that I could call that pulled me up. I'm in certain circles, and in these certain circles, cream rises to the top. I'm not trying to be arrogant, but I always end up in a leadership position, but I wanted some other leaders to be friends with. And so I'm sitting in this chair in my bedroom, and I'm trying not to cry. I'm not Meyer the crier, but I felt like crying in this moment. And I said, God, I need some better friends. I just do. I got enough people around me that put a demand on me. I need some people that just kind of get me, that get it, that I could get. And so in saying this prayer, again, 1, 2, 3, before you know it, this person who's my mentor connects me with this lady. He says, you got to know her. She's going to help you with X, Y, and Z. And so, I have a meeting with her and she's helping me with some legal stuff. You know what I mean? But she's funny and she's fun. And then she's not letting on the depth and the level of remarkable by way of a human that she was. And so the more time we spend working on this thing, the more time I'm realizing I really enjoy being with this person. And she also challenged me. She challenged me in a way that made me think, T, you are not doing enough. She challenged me and she was honest with me. And she told me, no, it's not often that people in my little realm, I have a strong personality. So most often people are just like, okay, well, Miss T, she said, okay, better do what Miss T says. But she says, no, try this. And I'm like, she just told me no. So anyways, my point in sharing that is we became very good friends. And becoming very good friends with her gave me access to some of her relationships that she's built since she was a freshman in college. And so it was a remarkable thing, the shift in peer group that happened from the introduction to this one person, but I made room for her, which means I was willing to do some different kind of travel. I didn't travel then the way I travel now, but because I have this relationship, I travel differently. I go all over the world with this particular friend. In fact, she plans trips just for me because I want to go visit certain places, but I didn't have the courage to do it alone. I didn't have the courage to explore without a friend who is an explorer. And so again, making room means I had to make room for different experiences because this is my relationship. I had to make room by way of get out of the house, get out of this city, get on a freaking plane, T. And our relationship has thrived because I made room for this relationship, which left less room for me to be alone and only on, social media commenting on things. I had to get out and do things that made me afraid. But in doing those things that made me afraid, it helped me conquer the fear of exploring the world. And now I can honestly say I am a world traveler. And I haven't stopped since I met this person. And let me shift that into, for anybody who says they want a husband. And again, I'm only realizing this stuff about myself. So if you're not building the infrastructure to have someone else in your life, in your space, in your intimate core, then I promise you, it's going to be really hard to get somebody to come in. I hear people say all the time, I'm set in my ways and I do this like this or like this. Well, you enjoy that. You enjoy that for the rest of your life. If all your stuff take up all the drawers and there's no give, if all your stuff take up all the closet, now don't be mad at me. I told you, don't be mad at me. And you're not willing to either graduate to a bigger space that can sustain two people that amass things, or you can shape shift in your space or shape shift or condense so that you can fit into his space, then, it's probably going to be really hard. You're not preparing to receive the increase of a life partner. Even things like, okay, so I go on dates sometimes, right? Okay, now I got to close the book. I go on dates sometimes, right? If one of your top 3 questions for me is, do I cook? We probably won't get on very well. Do I cook? Yeah, I could cook. But you're asking me if I cook to see if I'm going to cook for you every day. For some people, that's great. They want to do that. But for me, I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know. But that's T, not making room for someone to be a part of my life, my core life, and they may need me to love them through a meal from time to time. And so I'm saying all that to reveal myself. I got to grow too, This is not like T telling y'all to grow and T don't grow. I'll always do the growth first before I teach on the growth method. Remember that. So again, a relationship thing. Are you building the infrastructure for someone else to occupy life with you? And I think the only other one is, a shapeshift as it pertains to the lifestyle that you want to live. I think that sometimes people get set in their ways. And if you are set in a way, it may not work for the future self that you're wanting to become. So the increase in assets, that's a whole nother thing. Are you building the infrastructure to manage the increase in assets that you're getting? I'm of the teaching and the belief that it is your responsibility by way of legacy building to leave an inheritance for your children's children. So how do you do that? One, I like to make sure that, my grands and my great grands have character, integrity, hard work and ethic, and then a soft heart, and they're sensitive for community and people around them. I have to build the infrastructure that teaches them that, but also demonstrates that. So in order for me to do that, that legacy gift to, the next several generations, I have to build something that tracks that keeps me accountable for living and demonstrating that. It's not always money that you hand down. Sometimes it's character. Sometimes it's kindness. Sometimes it's generosity. Sometimes it's love. The other thing I would offer is assets. Are you documenting the stuff you're acquiring? Are you tracking it? You know how many people that we have to help because they died and they didn't have anything documenting what to do with all the stuff. Document who goes what. That's how families break up, split up, come apart. There's no infrastructure in place tracking things and then, allocating those things as seasons shift, as time shift. So there's some level of responsibility when it comes to being rich in any facet. You got to have system structures and infrastructures to sustain the growth of that and the channeling of that, the allocating of that. So yeah, you could want to have a wealthier lifestyle, but you have to build something to sustain that. Have you ever seen someone that hit the lottery and they got millions of dollars and in a short amount of time they didn't have anything to show for the victory of the millions that they got? That's because they didn't have an infrastructure to sustain it, maintain it, grow it, and share it. So my guidance to you today, if you will take it, is that you prepare. You prepare in a way that shows you're serious, not about getting it, not about accumulating it, but sustaining it and then channeling it in a way that it causes you to grow, others to grow positively, and for your legacy to ripple through time. I promise. Increase is the easiest thing to do as a human being. We're doing it every single day. Knowledge, resources, and relationships, and so much more. But if you plan to do it, you'll do it even greater. And you might become the demonstration of goodness, of power, that could cause somebody else to have hope that they can do it. So remember that. Remember, somebody's always watching you. So as you getting rich in life and lifestyles, it could inspire somebody else to do it. So make sure that you're doing your due diligence and documenting and building so that you're creating a lifestyle that works for you, that works for your family and your family to come, and everybody who's watching you. Now, I hope this helps you. You can like, share, subscribe. There's a way to be rich. You can find money on the ground, but not everybody stays rich. So I want you to share this with somebody that you think might help them. Make sure that you listen to this a couple of times because there's more than just one message in these things. So you got to listen to it, not until you hear it, but until you get it. And then once you get it, I'm asking you to share it. Thank you for watching this stuff. And I'm about to date it, but 2024 has been a tumultuous year. So I'm asking you to land well and prepare to succeed exponentially in 2025. Thank you for tuning in to Sweet Tea Time, and I'll see you next year.